Hey everyone, it's the Dr. Jason West Show. I'm so excited that you're here. We have tons and tons of awesome content to go over, and I'm so excited to share with you the information we put together. We've got a book, we've got a flip book, we've got all of these resources, and I'm so excited, you guys, to show my new producer. Hey, come on over here. You guys can't tell we're a little bit related. This is my son, Merrick. Merrick's over here making notes, doing Facebook comments and stuff like that. Thank you, Merrick. He's came in and offered to help me. And man, what a neat thing that we have going for you. It's the 3-part, actually it's turning into a 5-part. We are doing a bunch of stomach stuff. We talked about acid reflux. We talked about diarrhea and constipation. And now we are getting into the lower GI system. It's Crohn's disease. It's ulcerative colitis. And I've really worked hard on putting together valuable content for you so that you can stay out of the doctor's offices. You can be on the least amount of supplements, the least amount of prescriptions as possible to live your life here and not down here. And so, boy, what a great show. And now I've got extra help with me on Merrick over here. And so let's get right into our show. We're talking about Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, literally everything in the stomach. And if your stomach isn't healthy, guess what? You are not healthy. And so that's one of the reasons I decided to do this program. I'm so excited for the program. And by the way, if you have comments, suggestions, please put them in the comment line. Now that I've got a producer over here to help me modulate, this is son number 5, and this is first day on the job, and it's nice to have an extra set of hands. So it would be really nice if you are there, give us a comment and let us know that you're there, and it would be nice to know where you're from. And by the way, we have an updated stomach report. So if you have got the previous stomach report, in a minute, Merrick's going to post the comments of where you can get to the report on our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel. And so without further discussions, let's get in and let's talk about stomach problems and how we can avoid patient confusion. You know, this is one of the most common things that I see with chronic and complex healthcare conditions. Number one is people are, there's all this information out there on, should I take antacids? Should I not take antacids? Or should I be taking, a omeprazole or Protonix or proton pump inhibitor or Tums or Pepto-Bismol? And the answer is, well, I don't care where you do or who you see, as long as you get better. But I also wanted to make sure that you know all of your options for good health. And so, like everything, this is one of my favorite things to tell people, whether it's blood pressure, whether it's stomach problems, whether it's headaches, it's all about the quality of life. And I love this graphic right here of, slow down, keep calm, be positive, breathe, have fun. I just had another patient. This has happened hundreds of times. I just had another patient tell me, Dr. West, if I knew that I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. So yes, it's all about energy and longevity, but it's also about the quality of life that you have. And in particular, when it comes to the stomach, I love this graphic of food being in your colon and where it's kind of breaking down and where it's being absorbed. You are what you eat, and you are what you absorb. And the reason why I decided to put this graphic in here is literally because of this. In order to have a healthy life, you're going down this freeway or you're going down this road. And on one side, you have a healthcare provider, and he's pretty expensive, or she's pretty expensive to. And on the other side, you have a farmer, a grocer, a good living, and it's a lot less expensive over there. And so one of the motivations for doing an educational program is, one of the comments that breaks my heart is when people say, look, I just didn't know, or I wish I could have found you or a doctor like you sooner. I wish I would have taken control of my health. I had a really interesting case of a patient who wasn't feeling that great, and she was worried about getting fat. So she got some poison information that said, you're fat because you eat fat. So she decided to not eat any fat. Now, this is good marketing and horrible common sense, because you need fat to live and to function. And so what had happened is she'd had years and years and years of not getting oil into her system, wasn't as healthy as she could be. And this is just one of the examples of really getting misinformation or poison information. So if we think about our digestive series, here's what's happened. Like the first series, we did some about acid reflux, heartburn, and indigestion. The week 2, last week, we did diarrhea, constipation. This week, we're talking about the lower part of the stomach system, the colon, and really Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. I'm going to put into one category called inflammatory bowel disease. Then we want to talk about exit out of the body. That's next week, hemorrhoids and itchy rectum and food allergies. And so there's a lot of, every time I'm thinking, okay, we're kind of getting ready to go through the stomach system, it's more and more and more. And so from a review standpoint, acid reflux, most of the time with acid reflux, it's a lack of digestion. And so what happens is the food goes in there, it ferments, it rots, it decays, it doesn't go anywhere. And so the bottom sphincter, the body opening, doesn't open. And so what happens is the food sits there, it rots, it decays. I'm not trying to gross anybody out. And then what happens is it comes up. So the acid reflux. One of my favorite things to tell people is just do some apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon and a half a glass of water. It's one of my favorite tests to do. And 80% of the time in my clinical experience, it will help to digest the foods. Everything gets broken down. And then what happens is the digestive system improves. Most of the time, indigestion is a lack of the wrong kind of acid and digestive enzymes. About 20% of the time, it does the opposite, and it's too little acid. So let's kind of review this. If you have heartburn or acid reflux, it's a lack of digestion. You eat healthy, you protect the stomach lining. I'm going to tell you where to get the information of the best way to protect the stomach lining is fat-soluble vitamins, or essentially refined plant blood, and digestive enzymes. So the other problem is heartburn. When there's too much acid, I think, which happens far less, is you have the body is like cranked up the sympathetic nervous system. It's generating too much acid. This is about 20 to 25% of the time in my experience of 21 years treating patients. And the best way to do this, phosphorus. We hardly ever talk about phosphorus, and it's such an important mineral because it regulates the vagus nerve, which is a cranial nerve that comes out of the brain. It tells the heart and the lungs and your digestive system what to do. If you have too much acid, it's like we have the gas on all the time, and phosphorus helps to put the brake on, and it really, really helps. So if we go back to our graph, too much acid is eat healthy, protect the stomach with refined plant blood extract or chlorophyll, and then you down-regulate the vagus nerve. And then week 2, we started talking about diarrhea and what we do if your bowels are too loose. And the thing that's always the same, you eat as healthy as possible, avoid fast processed, pre-digested, pre-synthetic foods. One of the biggest concerns with diarrhea is it gets water out of your system and electrolytes. And I have found that digestive enzymes and fiber really help. Now, this is not a catch-all for every diarrhea conditions. Diarrhea is a complex, multifactorial health concern, but these are some really good base starting spots. And then the other side, when your bowels are too slow, it's about 50-50. People come into the office, and how many of them have stomach problems? Well, probably 100% of them, because you are what you eat and you are what you absorb. And so many people have bowels that are too fast or too slow. Now, here's what happens with constipation. Constipation occurs when there's not enough movement through the GI system. And so what happens is everything slows down. And our GI system is like a big conveyor belt. And as food goes through, what really controls constipation is bile salts. So bile salts are made in the liver. And what happens is when you have fat go through the GI system, when the liver secretes bile, it breaks down the fat. We need the fat to live, to protect protect the nerves, to generate hormones, for the brain to function right, to reduce cardiovascular disease. And there's so many different things that are fat involved in. And when the liver creates too much, it stores it in this reservoir called the gallbladder. So most of the time when you're having constipation, you just don't have enough bile salts. And this is why I starred this in here. Bile salts are absolutely positively the key to constipation, and then fiber, which holds on to water inside of the colon. So one of the things I'm really excited about, and this is what Merrick's going to help me do. Merrick, can you get the comment posted? Or maybe you already did. So Merrick already posted it. He's my producer. There's a free ebook download, that I'm so a part of. And by the way, inside of our program, we've just crested 100 episodes in our live cast program. So we've done a stomach series, we've done a heart series, a brain health. All of it's available over on our website, West Clinic Online. And also, this is what I'm really excited to share with you, is inside of that, we have our report library, an arthritis report, a blood sugar report, a heart report, and then, of course, this stomach report. And so I just wanted to bring that up right here. If you have, you can copy the link, or you can go to this right here. This is our download report. I'm going to leave it up here just a minute. It's West Clinic Online. And then I wish I could have made it shorter. It's PL and this number. And we're going to get it inside the comment section of our Facebook and our YouTube, a free report. It's updated all this information. I've gone through the different things. And what's exciting is, I've said, this is how you take care of it. So, for instance, a digestive enzyme to help break down food, and a Montmorillonite clay that helps to heal and soothe irritated GI tissue. And then in this section, we're going to talk a lot about the vacuum cleaner. And so let's talk more about the vacuum cleaner. And by the way, it's not just me saying that. I'm hoping that this works as we're working on it. I want to introduce you to a real life patient success story of someone that was going to the bathroom literally like 30 times a day, was running his business in between bathroom episodes, and he came into the office with just a wonderful outcome. And his name's Trevor. It's about 2 or 3 minutes. Let me see if I can get it to pull up and play. Just a fun story. Everything that I'm talking about, the application of what I'm sharing with you, is all right
experience here. I'm going to have Trevor tell it, but in essence, when you take people that are not balanced and you put them back in balance, you get really good outcomes. So some of it's what we do at the office, and then some of it is what the patient does. But it doesn't matter who gets the credit as long as the patient gets better. So really neat outcomes. So Trevor, tell everyone a little bit of what you were like when you came in.
Well, I had an unknown
GI problem.
GI problem. Went to hundreds of doctors, went to specialists, went to gastro doctors, and they all had false information for me. I would be in the restroom anywhere from 5 to 20 times a day, equivalent to about 3 hours worth.
Yeah, so you figured this out, right?
Yeah, we've done the math.
Okay, so then we did some treatments. We did a little bit of vitamin infusion therapy. We put you on the right supplements, had you adjust your lifestyle, and now what's happened?
I am a regular once-a-day bathroom visitor.
Once-a-day bathroom, so went from 5 to 20 to once, and then tell everybody how much time you're saving.
About 2 hours and 45 minutes.
So he actually calculated it out. He says, I don't have to try and do business on the porcelain throne,
yes,
right?
That's right.
So really cool. So would you recommend other people to get the treatments?
100%. I don't have the stomach irritation anymore. That was the biggest things I noticed.
So we fixed the top part of your conveyor belt and the bottom part.
Yes.
And then is it okay if I put on Facebook?
Absolutely.
All right. So everyone, Dr. J wrapping up with the daily dose vitamin A. Just a really amazing outcome. Putting people back in balance, you get good outcomes. And now Trevor gets out and go out and really live life instead of just surviving. So we'll see you guys on the next video.
Okay. Well, this is really embarrassing. I got to go back. And luckily my producer's there. I muted the microphone so that it didn't come up. I apologize for that. Now I'm back on. Okay, here we go. So inside of when we talked about Trevor's situation, and now let me pick up before I forgot to turn the microphone back on. Thank you, Merrick, for helping me. Inflammatory bowel disease is when basically the body is so mad that it can't absorb water, which I think is an essential nutrient, vitamins and minerals, and talk about having a life impact, because there's so many neurotransmitters inside of the stomach. There's more neurotransmitters that are generated inside of the stomach than there are in the brain. And so this is why that statement of you are what you eat and you are what you absorb, it's not a little important. It's absolutely incredibly important to make sure that you are what you eat and you are what you absorb. And so when we start talking about deeper and lower GI problems, so inflammation of the digestive tract causes abdominal pain, diarrhea, weight loss, malnutrition. It's also, hugely important for the absorption of vitamins and nutrients. And so when we start talking about things like Crohn's disease, what happens is it can be painful, debilitating, and most of the time the medical treatments are that let's just do something to reduce inflammation. Let's give you prednisone or some type of immunomodulator therapy. And it's been my experience treating people for 2 decades that many times it works initially, and then what happens, it's almost like the body kind of resets. And so a prescription that was working doesn't, when they switch to another one. And then if we can't like literally get something to heal in the body, eventually people run out of prescriptions. And so there's some really neat cutting edge therapies that can significantly help that I'm sharing with not only here on the live cast, but also inside of that report. So I'm going to make, here's the report link. If I apologize for all of the numbers and stuff like that. Merrick's also put it in the comment section. But if we can help the colon to heal, good things happen. So irritable bowel disease conditions are things like diarrhea, fever, fatigue, abdominal pain, blood in the stool, mouth sores, reduced appetite, weight loss. And there's other things that can occur inside of the inflammatory bowel disease, inflammation of the eyes, the skin, the joints, inflammation of the liver, gallbladder, kidney stones, anemia, delayed growth, and sexual characteristics are frequently associated with that. And the causes of irritable bowel syndrome, we know it's the immune system. There can be a genetic component. This is why I put the DNA inside of this component. And we know some things are going to aggravate that. So diet and stress and lifestyle. And this is why we start with every single live cast, is there needs to be a way for you to de-stress. Like there's no magic lotion or potion or pill or treatment or anything that removes stress from your life. There are some ways to manage or to combat that. And that's one of the reasons why I keep saying you got to get something on your schedule, whether it's prayer or meditation or exercise or going on a drive or gardening or listening to a musical instrument or playing a musical instrument. There's so many different ways for people to de-stress. And I don't think there's one right way for everyone. There's one right way for you. There's one right way for me. There's one right way for the people that come into the office, the support structure. And what I would encourage people to do is to remember this, that you are the most important person in your life. Not from a narcissistic or a selfish standpoint. What I mean from that is that you, if you are zen, if you are balanced, if you get as healthy as possible physically and emotionally, and it takes a little bit of time and effort and work. It takes work to get yourself to healthy. But then what happens is we get really balanced and really good things happen. So this aggravating symptoms for inflammatory bowel disease, diet, stress, and lifestyle are so important factors in the system. Now, complications from inflammatory bowel disease, bowel obstruction, ulcers, fistulas, anal fissures, malnutrition, cancer risk factors, and blood clots are all things that happen outside of your GI system. And so I love this picture, and I am going through a book right now called Bright Line Eating. And the reason why I think this is a good picture that I decided to put into this little boy that's eating carrots. So let me bring it up right here. Is the author was talking about one of the things that parents do as kids, and I feel horrible because I have done this and I didn't realize what he was doing. She was with her friend and her little girl, the author's little girl, and they come back from a little shopping excursion. She put the girl inside, tried to put her inside the car and put her seatbelt on, and the little girl was unhappy, didn't want to do it, and so the author was trying to tell her, look, this is the rules that we have to follow. And the friend was just trying to help, did something that probably all of us have done. I've done this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so unhelpful. Is the friend gave the little girl a piece of candy, and the author turned to her and said, look, one of the things that we are doing inside our society that we think we're helping is we are enforcing bad behavior and horrible dietary habits because we're giving this kid a candy. This is the one instance, but we all seem to do, like, we can get in a funk or a bad mood. One of the things that we turn to is different types of food, frequently sugar or high fat, high sugar intake. We're rewarding bad behavior, and it's causing horrible GI problems later. And it was such an interesting perspective of the author saying, look, I don't want to enforce negative behavior. And if my little girl ever gets upset in life, I don't want her to turn to inappropriate foods or inflammatory foods to offset the dopamine and the neurotransmitter receptors. And I just thought there, man, I haven't done very good at times as a parent, because I've tried to do that, especially when my twins were little, and I would like do anything to get them to calm down, put them in the car and we go on drives. And sometimes I was like reinforcing bad behavior. And so you are what you eat and you are what you absorb. And so this is one of the reasons I decided to put this graphic in here, is because the healthier and alive you are most of the time with inflammatory bowel disease, constipation, digestion, stuff like that, when we eat it closer to the ground, the healthier we are. Closer to the ground means this: if we're pulling out a carrot out of the ground, just like this little boy, and we're eating it, what happens is that's a really good way to get vitamin A and beta carotene and nutrients. If we take the same carrot and we refine it, we touch it by hand and it ends up in carrot cake, it's less healthy. So that's what I mean when we talk about food that is close to the ground. What to do with inflammatory bowel disease. So here we go. The best you can, I want you to manage stress. And manage stress means having that stress outlet. I recommend 15 minutes in the morning, 15 at night. Even better is 30 minutes a day where it's time just for you. And so for me, how I manage stress is I have an hour of power. My hour of power is 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. That's when I really get to kind of be with me. I don't like to have other commitments or time in that time period, because it really helps me to be healthy and balanced. I love to talk to myself. I used to think that was craziness, and now recognize it's the right and the left side of the brain trying to communicate through the corpus callosum. And so talking to yourself, I think, is really, really healthy. Not enough people get water. If you're having a stomach problem, I would encourage you to do this. Just really work on getting water. And people say, well, how much? And sometimes this is overwhelming. Sometimes people are already doing this, but I think a gallon is a really good place to start. A gallon of water. And people say, well, if I drink that much, guess what? I'm going to have to urinate that. And one of the answers, I'm like, you know what? Most sick people are like clogged toilets. Everything's stuck. And the only way to get it to come out is we got to stir it up. And one of the things that happens is water. And of course, if you are not getting enough water, you start getting more, you're going to urinate. And guess what? You're urinating out toxins and poisons. And after a time period, I have people cut back. That's such a nice place to start eating clean, protecting the stomach. So one of the things I'd recommend for people to protect the stomach is getting your fat soluble vitamins up. And in our digestive report, we talk about vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, and then a little known vitamin named vitamin F, which is basically arachidonic acids. And those are the essential fatty acids that help to protect your mucous membranes, break down foods, digestive enzymes, natural things are, fermented foods, pineapple, cherries, bromelain, papaya. I think all of those things are really helpful. Apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon and a half a glass of water after meals. scrubbing the system by getting more fiber in, and then we're going to talk in just a second about a vacuum cleaner. So inflammatory bowel disease, also, that's a really good rules. Now, does it apply to everyone? Of course it doesn't. I'm just trying to get some really nice high-level rules for people to follow. And then I love this graphic on Crohn's disease. So here's what Crohn's disease is. On the left, we have this normal intestine, and on the right, we have all of this mucus buildup and these angry cracks or fissures. And we think that there's an infectious disease component. At least this is what I think. It's a chronic bacterial or viral infection. And I quote this, and nearly every time I talk to new people in the office, there's a study of the British Journal of Medical Practitioners. It's probably the most important study that I've ever read. This is chronic bacterial and viral infections cause neurobehavior, so your nerves don't work right, neurodegenerative, they start to break down and you get abnormal sensations and peripheral neuropathy, psychiatric, it gets in your head, messes up with your emotions, fatigue, and autoimmune disorders. So it's really infection related, but there is a wonderful herb called okra. So okra is the sticky, usually it's yellow, and this okra, really what it does is it helps to vacuum out your GI system for inflammatory bowel disease. It's literally like taking a lint roller through your system. I just think it's absolutely phenomenal for inflammatory bowel disease. So I'm going to do this in two different ways. For inflammatory bowel disease, you want to heal and soothe the GI system, which is refined plant blood, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K. I think digestive enzymes have an important place as long as it's a comprehensive digestive enzyme. So that means it has something for protein, something for fat, something for carbs. Then we want some type of scrubber, fiber and bile salts are a really good place to help scrub out the GI system. And then the digestive enzymes, and okra is so good to vacuum out the GI system. Now, for people that don't like this graphic, I did another one because I think this is so important to just review same information, heal and soothe, break down the food, scrub out the system, and then literally do a vacuum cleaner or a lint roller. So a couple things. One is if you haven't got our new report, and literally we just finished this afternoon, we had one on there before. This is an updated report. You can go to this link right below. Eric's posted on Facebook and inside of YouTube. Just click on the link. It just asks for literally, basically your name and email so that we can get you the download, and then it comes as a PDF, or you can click right here. If you feel that if that's challenging or it doesn't work, you can go right here, info at West Clinic Online, and just in the digestive system, you should be able to we'll send you the link, or we can send you the report. I do have a question from YouTube Live. Hey, Bobby, do you think you should avoid eating raw foods when you have digestive problems along with acid reflux? And the answer to that, Bobby, is a big fat maybe. And what does that mean? Sometimes raw foods really bother people. And so there is an argument to be made that if you cook the raw foods, carrots, squash, and things like that, it does seem to help break them down a little bit. I prefer cooked foods versus raw foods. And part of it is how I grew up. I'm trying to shift kind of that habit. I think that you have to experiment around with that. Inside of our report, we give you some information. And then, Bobby, one of the most important things is check out a book on Amazon called Breaking the Vicious Cycle. I can't remember the author's name off the top of my head. It's a book that was written in the early 90s about a nurse that beat her in, acid reflux and her Crohn's autoimmune disorders. It's awesome. Breaking the Vicious Cycle. I didn't put that in the report. I need to go back and update my book there. Also, if the link doesn't work, you could just come right over here. Just put #stomach in the comments, and Merrick will send you a link of where to get the book. We have a couple neat things that are coming up. This is what the link looks like. It's the Stomach and Digestive Health Guide. You put your name, your email. We've got a nice little report over there with resources and recommended treatment suggestions at home, treatment suggestions inside of the office. And okay, there's the free books. All right, a couple things I'm really excited to share with people. It's all about the West Clinic team. We actually have a couple different shows. Every Wednesday night, we have an information section, just like that we're talking about here. In our membership program called the Thrivers program, we have a specific question and answer period. You get a virtual office visit with me every night from 7 to 8 o'clock. It's specific, just question and answers. It's for people inside of our membership program. And then on Thursdays, just a real quick segment on a patient success story. And boy, do we have an amazing story this week. So in the past, we've had all of these different conditions: wheelchair to walking, seizure disorders, Lyme disease, athletic performance. And this week, it is Bree's story. So this is just so fun. Bree came to my office 2 years ago, absolutely sick on the couch, not moving, not functioning for 6 years. From 2013 to 2019, we started working on this. And now, Bree, we're bringing her inside of the studio, literally 100%. Prepare to be inspired, you guys. This story is fantastic. And everybody wants to know as we start doing treatments, well, Dr. West, have you treated anybody like me? And I always say there's people exactly like you. You heard Trevor's story. Bree's story's coming up tomorrow night and Thursday night on Facebook and YouTube, which I just got to give that just for a second. Tomorrow night, we put a notice out. Also, next week, we have some really neat things. We're going to be going over hemorrhoids and itchy anus. And of course, how can you talk about stomachs without talking about food allergies? So everyone, that's literally our program. It's the Dr. Jason West Show every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube. It's our Hellness to Wellness program. We're taking people that are here and we're getting them to live up here. Also, if you get our stomach report, we will send you a link of seeing our first segments, our second segments, our third segments on the stomach report. Everything heart, our Epstein-Barr reports, all inside of that special library. And so everyone, that is our show this week. Thank you for my new producer, Merrick. Slide over here and give everybody a big shout out. This is my son number 5, and I just wanted to give him big cheering and everything because he's already helping me to be more smooth and more efficient. It's the Dr. Jason West program, Wednesdays at 6 o'clock. We're getting ready to go to our membership program where you can get a virtual office visit with me every single week. More information on that is coming inside of our report. And don't forget to check out Bree's story tomorrow night, 5 o'clock. Literally from going in bed, cannot do anything, to a normal life. It's such a neat story. She's going to be with me in the studio tomorrow night. I'll see you guys next week on hemorrhoids and itchy anus. It's the Dr. Jason West Show. Me and Merrick, we are signing out. We'll see you guys next week.